for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video sitting with me here today. Today we're gonna continue our discussion about love, true love, divine love, and divine destined sacred union. So yesterday I actually got this card, Sacred Union, and it is one of my favorite cards and representations because the divine masculine and feminine are like the tree. You know, they're strong as the tree with their branches and of course their roots. So today I want to talk about this aspect of love that's devotion in relation to what is currently happening. So I was guided to do a continuation of these videos throughout the summer whenever I can and when I feel guided and called to about love, because what my family of light is showing me that right now the journey of Illumined Union, of Sacred Union, that was always in continuation, but right now it feels like it's the most important thing that's left over, as they're saying it's the most crucial, pivotal breakthrough point for what we are still here to deliver as through activities of light and our earthly physical embodiment and manifestation. So lately I was getting lots of different messages. You know, I get messages before going to bed and mostly when I wake up. Sometimes they come as themes through different things that are popping up, sometimes even through music and sounds, but lately I was getting a lot of different videos popping up on my YouTube feed with a similar topic and continuation, which was the path of the masculine going through their challenges in order to really become what we call the divine masculine, to become this lightning rod, this pillar, this embodiment of the throne. You know, the sacred marriage has a composition of the masculine energy and then the feminine, which is more like fluid, like the water, feminine. You know, it's holding space and it's anchoring in that way, and it's so many qualities that are becoming new because each union developed within the Illumined Union journey, it's like each different cycle of union brings through a different quality that's being purified from the collective. So these messages that I was kind of seeing, and they're swimming around the web, they're very much similar. And I was shown it's not just for one masculine, one particular masculine. So many of you are probably relating through your personal life with such a being. But this was a message about a general collective moving through these almost like understandings that are pivotal for the next stage and the next step of this journey for the masculine and feminine coming together. What even our beloved Master Jesus spoke about today when we addressed him and asked these questions was whether that's really going on, and I'll talk about what that is right after I share this with you. And he said it's the truth. He said it's really important now, this unveiling and breaking through the karmic energy and these distorted ways of affiliations, the way we hold space with each other, the way we understand relationships and partnerships, and even our mission here on Earth, on this planet. And although there was much talk and preparation throughout the years, it's now really becoming evident what this journey is, and that it's actually difficult. And in a way, it's also simple, because the moment you surrender to love, love carries this journey through. All the obstacles, all the transgression, all the repetition, all the cycling in, all the looping, all the distortions of the dark, because this in a way is an Illumined Union integration journey, which is a journey of, if I can simplify it, it's like white magic versus dark magic. And white light magic isn't really magic in a sense of, you know, conjuring up energies to be served in a certain way. It's just staying within the white light. It's just allowing source as the source, the first offspring of that white light, to work and operate through us. While the dark magic has many, many components of conjuring up energies for different activities that they, through their own self-imposed will, are trying to superimpose the society, and especially through these unions that they don't want to happen because they are so strong. And like Jesus said today, they are pivotal like stones, right? Ground stones for us anchoring new energies, these new energy associations and positioning. So it's like literally writing this in within the template. And if we can conjure up a specific amount of that light encoding within these unions, there can be this drastic radical shift that the Illumined Council of Light, of course, is hoping for and aiming for. So imagine that you as each being holds such power, and in a way that power comes from God, right? It comes from source, and you being responsible for that power. And there's no coincidence that right now I'm speaking about these topics more than, my general awareness topics about illumination of the body, such and such, and so on. As they're showing me, this now is the only stage of the mission work still left for those of you who are in continuation moving on this path, and even for those of you who are just awakening to this, because some people have a different path. Maybe they were discovering their selves, what we call through these karmic relationships. Doesn't mean in any way their shift cannot be rapid, and they can accelerate into these fast track forward moving energies of the white light. There's no such limited view and truth, which makes us believe that, we need to invest in a certain way in our own spiritual devotion. And if someone hasn't been doing that work of devotion for years, like in opposition to someone else, doesn't mean they have the chance or opportunity to break through. It's not really the truth. And this twinning path, that is in a way a path that has been pre-chosen, has been preset into the conditions of the soul born into what we call this matrix, this world. Because each soul wanted a specific journey through which it would break through and break on to the other side, like a famous song sings about. And so it's very unique, right, how these unions would come about, when and how specific individuals would feel them. But what right now is really strongly coming through is, if I mentioned, like, let's say starting from a week ago, there was lots of these tower messages, even in tarot, when I myself was doing the readings and, seeing some of what the other people were saying it was very much in the alignment of the same thing, the pursuit of the same energy, cycles and circles. And now what's coming through a lot is justice and judgment. And today I even did my letters, I play with these letters sometimes, and the first words were like judgment, in my own language. And the message was very much about, yes, we say God is that ultimate judgment call when it comes to something in our lives, when the breakthrough is not just self-evident, but it's imminent, and it's that divine orchestration of that divine timing that eventually creates that breakthrough, if the personality does not succumb to that surrender, does not give its power to divine power, right? Doesn't surrender to divine will. So then there's a stepping into, and there's this spiritual assessment and configuration of assistance that's being offered. Like in tarot, these hands that are offering, like the Ace of Cups and the Ace of, not the Wands, not so much, Wands is like this, but the Ace of Pentacles, they're all like these divinely given gifts when the opportunity comes through the divine. And let's say when we have such a divine opportunity and we say no to it, not just once, but several times, there's going to be a different outcome. Doesn't mean now, okay, we haven't chosen it. If the soul has, it has. So these configurations are now happening and unfolding, and because of that, there are now cycles through which mostly the masculine part of this equation is going through, that are making this journey right now very difficult, very dark in a way, very feeling alone and isolated in these trials and tribulations. And there's so many messages I was watching, even in tuning in, about defeat and backstabbing, betrayal even. These are very heavy words, right, when we think about them. But behind them all was, when I was tuning in, lots and lots of this dark magic, which a lot of the souls who don't know about the amount and the scope of what's going on cannot even relate that and move it through their own experiences. It's kind of like they can't associate it with the amount of the depth that is present in their own lives. But let me tell you, it is, because I had to go through transgression and discover many, many layers of it, and how much hijacking and distortion there truly is. And that the only true ultimate liberation is the power of love. So we will talk about the triumph of love today, because it is happening, and the messages are also coming out as such, that there is inherent within each and every such soul individual on the journey of, the card I just showed you, the sacred union. This is not just coming together to commit. This is the ultimate commitment to the life of the spirit path. Selflessly aiming towards an aimless but actually very much focused, goal-oriented path in which the only goal is to serve the divine. But knowing that we don't have to negate who we are, because we are those divine children, which means we can be happy, and we will be happy in that pursuit. Many people think that serving God, because it was so superimposed through the dark hijacking, means you give up your will and your freedom, basically. So the dark is so enticing and luring into the path of what they offer, because it makes you believe, well, you're free, you can do whatever you want. And it makes you forget about divine law and the karmic retribution and all those things. It makes souls start spinning in a limbo. And we think, well, that's really just not happening, because we feel such a tiny mundane level of what's happening at the realm of the soul. But I was tuning into some of the materials of Rudolf Steiner lately again, a while back, I think. And it was so much about how many souls are actually toiling for darkness without even knowing that they're just a passing through of that food, that sustenance that needs to feed the belly of the beast, the devil, right? So what's behind so many of these manipulations that are happening in individuals' personal lives? Not many souls were pure souls. They were sometimes, let's say, even naive. They couldn't see through, because it wasn't as evident. But what's playing out now is this karmic retribution. I'll talk more about it in the next video, which I already recorded, but I didn't post yet because it is summer and I tend to forget. And it's really important now, because it is this feeling that those beings, those of us who've been called to love for a while now, we've moved through the transgression. We're moving through the last few bits and pieces of those energetic distortions, but we are here. We're moving along this journey. We're the first ones within this new spiral. We're weaving the web, the tapestry of this new configurations that are meant to occur. And yet those who follow now, this second wave, they're having it, let's say, a little more difficult from the perspective of the way this retribution is playing out in their own lives. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that they're themselves being punished because these things are happening. But what it means is these darker things, these darker portions of the life that they live, but it was happening mostly behind the scenes, have to come out to the surface, have to come out to the light. Because many of these people were not even seeing what they're actually a part of. They just believe their life is status quo as they know it, serving, their daily selves, the routine. The routine is such a trickster, actually, because it makes you stop being vigilant, always on the lookout, always alert, always using wisdom as your highest source of maintenance. Then eventually you would, pull up something like you say, well, my spiritual tool or gift is how I read astrology, or how I read these cards, or whatever. But our biggest spiritual strength and tool, again, is the way we can be triumphant through love. Is the devil actually hoaxes all of us, and it confuses us. It creates this doubt, constantly present doubt. It's not a manifestation of God or the divine, right? But when I say the devil, I mean the Antichrist, right? Expression of the fallen consciousness. And so because of that, we mistaken our greatest gifts and how we can use them for something that actually the darkness sold to us. I'm not saying these tools are wrong. I use oracle cards too. I love oracle cards and how beautiful the art on them is and all these things. But they're still not the main source. Spirit always reminds me, don't forget what's the original source. What's your original gift? It's a powerful presence of love, and how love is always, not just can be, but is always triumphant. And because of that, it will win over this whole devil and devilish thing. It's even when you think of the tarot, how in the original Rider-Waite tarot, the devil is presented. It kind of keeps two beings in bondage and chained. same beings that are also in the Lover's cards. And that's actually having so much symbology for us, because a lot of people who actually should be joined through love, these distortions of the dark created that they're actually now bound together in fear and rejecting one another. And this is what, people now call this twin flame path, a path of awakening through the mirror of the other. And it is in a way preset path. It's not because you're special or chosen, but because you're in this path of waking up to that which is beyond just the light and dark playing their own games out. But the cycle also has to play out in a way. So the solution to be in the space of union is to be as neutral as we can, not forcefully, but feeling into the energy each day and seeing when you are neutral, actually. Because when I feel neutral, the whole world feels like it's just happening through me, like God is being moved through me. I don't have to deal so much with what I perceive as still drama or energies trying to communicate with me or move through me in a certain way. I could just let the divine handle it and take care of it, while I focus on my due diligence every day and the true gifts, which is a compassionate, open heart, but also a truthful heart full of integrity that knows what it knows. So that way of us devoting to love and not escaping love or finding the easiest route out is that which makes us triumphant. It is the victory card in tarot also. And a lot of the times we simply, being so exhausted during our days, forget that. We forget how much love and how quickly love moves and shifts things. It's the fastest shifter of all the isht, right? Shifting the isht. So it is really, really so important right now, and especially from the feminine perspective, because the feminine part of this cycle and this creation has moved ahead in the way it's compassionate and the way it holds space within the body. And maybe the masculine, for the masculine, it's still harder to be fully in the body. And because of that, they can be more hijacked. I explained numerous times before how if you're never fully in the body, you will be hijacked. No matter how much you believe you know spirituality or believe yourself to be spiritual, doesn't matter. Plays no role in the way darkness functions. You have to know that. You have to be really a humble student of light, because when you are, you have to know humbly that everyone is, in a way, manipulated and played with. A lot of people don't want to see that. They don't want to recognize. They would rather choose to, eyes wide shut. But it doesn't help us, because we don't allow ourselves to see. Because the moment you see through something, you're already exposing it. That moment you'll still start to lose its power. And that's how quickly love works, and being triumphant through holding that space. And like I've explained, the feminine part of life, those of us who are in the feminine bodies, we're holding more of the space for the other half, right? Coming into this realization, first the tower moments, then the death of the old, destruction of the old, that building the tower of, falsely created cards that doesn't serve anyone and anything, especially the new configurations that the divine wants, not like expects in a conditional way, but for our own good, for our own happiness. It keeps on cheering us on and forward. And a lot of the people have had difficulties because they don't even feel what the new is, so they're afraid of taking the leap, because they've never in their own soul cycle for eons experienced it. And the reason why I'm here as a direct manifestation of that incarnation, a direct light being coming into physical form, I can tell you that the new is absolutely fantastic. It is a space of true magic, but the souls who haven't experienced that for quite a lot of cycles during their time and lifetimes on earth, it's difficult for them to even imagine what that would be and dream about it. So they've forgotten about who they are, their gifts of dreamlike ability of conjuring up the reality as they will it into motion. Because when you speak through divine will, God speaks through you, so you would speak a beautiful reality into being. But for many, they just believe they have to walk the status quo because that's a life they're born into or given somehow, And falsely, many times people believe, well, if I live that, that's my gift from God. And if you're unhappy, trust me, that's not a gift from God. God did not imagine you unhappy. How do you serve God if you're unhappy? None of us do, right? So me, my own example, being in those terrible, super painful transgression energies in years, I knew straight away that's not from God. That's not my challenge from God. That's the darkness. My godly nature was to awaken my power to move through and beyond those things. And I realized and I saw through the mission what it was and why we volunteered to do that in the first place, because I saw the magnitude and scope of that phenomena happening on Earth anyway, but beyond just the Earth realm. So we volunteered to cleanse some of that. But we had to go to the root level, right? So it's the same thing with these unions. We have to go to the root level of what keeps us separate. And for me, how I see and experience that, the way God shows it to me, is we're not fully devoted to divine, to our divine path. And that's not just to fulfill our basic needs or to be good in one moment and that's enough to get through the day, to get by in a way. Way beyond, as you know. And if you're not living this higher realm of manifesting your spiritual powers on Earth, not by conjuring up specific energies that would serve you, but you being just a vessel for those energies already move through you naturally by source. That's how simple and easy it is when you are attuned to the white magic, which is just white light wisdom and embodiment. So many people have been fooled into thinking they do have to suffer, that's kind of like their way of learning and toiling. While moving through the suffering, beyond the suffering, is a challenge that God will, show you the way through. That's the challenge, but not in itself to live in those energies. Because we're not meant to stay in old, stagnant, and very dense energies. We're meant to move beyond them and to create magic and powerful new things that have never been before. Otherwise, tell me honestly, why do we speak about these things such as fifth dimension and beyond? Are we not moving towards that reality? Then why are we not making those steps? Why do we believe our status quo reality is actually taking us there? And we're mentally consuming the idea of ascension, but we're not really ascending. It starts now with this realization, which is devotion through love, and holding the space and understanding that love not just will be, but already is triumphant. We're just watching it play out now on Earth, and God is saying, almost like, just watch the show being played out. Well, you do you. You focus on you, but not selfishly, just self-assuredly. Every day, how you can stay in the higher energies. Stay in vibrant energies, in a vibrant body. If you're not actually listening to that guidance. It has to come from your gut. A lot of people are mentally, it's almost like defending things that are really, really keeping them down. And a lot of, especially masculines, are very put down, not seen and not really loved for their true worth of the soul. It's a very materialistically based kind of focus of love, and as I've often explained before, it's just that safety and security, but that's really not love. And because of that, for me, how I see it, each masculine will have to learn what truly makes them a king of their own world, their reality. So if they have this lack of confidence, well, how I can be with someone that's my true love, my true queen, like nowadays everyone calls these the king and the queen unions coming together, the emperor and the empress. It's not about you feeling, well, I have to be worthy to get it. But first you have to be worthy of living your own self fully. Like, if you cannot offer yourself the best life, then, how are you truly devoted to love? It's basically just what lies on the other side of fear, right? And many, many issues we've talked about before, such as abandonment, things like that. And I was shown truly now, this summer, we are to weave a new web of love. That's why probably I will have these videos directed more towards this. Not so much physical ascension as I have before. It's just this is a really strong calling. This is how God sees reality, and it's major important. So I have to serve God. I have to serve through being myself, authentically, what I feel in each moment to be the truth coming through. So I will do a more extended Illumined Union reading. This beloved reading on Patreon that I do will be probably up in July, because I already missed the month of June because I moved, as you know, for the magical 7th time. And I have to tell you, what lies on the other side, on these days when I wake up with this beloved sense and essence, it's really powerful. Like Fridays are usually Venus days, but today I felt such a strong surge and presence of love, and it's Sunday today. You just go with the flow, and sometimes I would feel that presence of the beloved energy is not even there. Sometimes it's energy is so neutral, you hardly could feel it. And other days it's like, whoa, it's like you wake up and it's like, phew, something just spanks you, and it's like a good kind of spanking. It's kind of like that, mischievous nature of the soul. It's very playful. It's very open, and it's just so loving. Like today we went out for a walk and we started picking flowers in the meadow, and we found Arnica montana. I'm like, oh, so excited. I'm going to do something with it. And it smelled so heavenly. I loved just each petal that I took in. I was like, taking in the fragrance, savoring life, and life that is God in the physical, in the flesh. Even with all the distortions and fallen energies, there's something that keeps our heart beating constantly. And for me now, this love, this devotion starts with prayer each day. And I shared this prayer with you already. Beloved God I am, please humble me in my love. Please show me how to love, how to be the embodiment of ultimate love. And through that embodiment, please resurrect me and my beloved. Take us from the ashes of the old despair into the rising new dawn. Thank you. Amen. Very simple and very humbling, because if we're not humble through love, nothing will humble us. Because only love can really, truly humble you. As long as you feel those nagging pulls and you're not accepting the triggers, but on the other side of the trigger is love. So if you only accept the trigger is the ultimate solution that gets you to the love. In resistance, things persist. We know that. So if we're persisting in devotion and love, then that persists. So that's good. But on the other side of that, which is egoic, it's not really a good thing. So I will love and leave you here with this message ending, and I will do a more extensive reading with the sharing channeling I also did for my group about the way they see this union happening and occurring, and almost like the role of the feminine in that. They gave me like this challenge. I'll read that in the Patreon Illumined Union reading update. Until we see each other again in the next video that I already recorded but I didn't share yet, I'll speak more on the topic of that karmic retribution and divine justice. I'll see you when I do next time. As always, with so much love, wisdom, and power, with a special focus on love right now in your union. Take care of yourselves and your union journeys, because you really, really have to be safe right now. You have to feel safe. You have to do everything for your safety. Be on the lookout, but also trust yourself in the way you're guided, because you are protected whenever you serve the highest power, that is God, that is source, that is infinite love and light. Thank you for staying here, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.